Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me from somewhere on a mountaintop is Josh Mansfield. Josh, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. I am just living my best life out here. I'm out on vacation at Bear Lake, Idaho. So it is a lake that's kind of a resort lake in between Idaho and Utah. We're just renting a cabin up here for the week and just enjoying a nice vacation. So
Amazing. Well, yeah. Appreciate you stopping in on the Upshot with us.
No problem.
While you're out there on vacation. I will say, doing like outdoor, sitting in the sunshine work in a beautiful place, it's premium.
It is premium. That is for sure.
It is Tuesday, June 6th. The Portland Open just finished up this past weekend, the first ever Elite Plus event on tour. And we're going to get into all the details of that in what was an incredibly busy weekend of news in the disc golf world. And almost all of it on the course, not always seen. So we have much to get to today, and we've decided that we're going to do something a little bit different. And we're going to just take you through the top 10 storylines of the weekend. And I have to say of the weekend because it wasn't all at the Portland Open, Josh.
That's correct.
So I will, we're taking a little cue from Owl P. Jackson, the top 10 storylines. Josh, I'll let you get us started with number 10.
Okay. Number 10, I think, is one we chatted about a little bit. It is the Portland Purse first Elite Plus event comes in at a very nice $115,000. Now, we talked about this a little bit before. This is the first Elite Plus event where they guaranteed higher payouts. We weren't 100% sure what that meant. They had been talking 110, ended up getting it up to 115, 15% increase from last year, and we'll do Purse Watch in a bit.
Let's just do it right now. We're already here.
All right, there you go. Let's hit it real quick. So Portland comes in $75,000 on the MPO side, $40,000 for the FPO side for the 115 mark. 71.8 is the added cash number. Whew. The winner, that's a lot of added cash. It's almost
more than anything except Champions Cup.
Yes, and it is more than anything except Champions Cup. MPO payout 12.5, FPO payout 8,500. That ties Champions Cup for the highest payout for the year for the winners. The FPO.
Yeah.
Yep, for the winners, correct. And then Portland last year was $85,000. So that is an increase of 35%. That's a hefty increase and a lot of added cash. So interesting storyline. Makes the number 10. Is something we kind of knew was coming and talked about, but definitely something that we'll keep an eye on as the Elite Plus events continue to roll in.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this Elite Plus thing and like, what's the idea? And like, there's more points.
Yep.
There's more money. Otherwise, it kind of feels like a regular tournament. I mean, they did have some extras on DGN. They had the featured hole broadcast, so it was like, a few areas where things were like done a little bit more, but in a way, it sort of feels like a way of kind of promoting interest from both players and fans in events that the tour wants to highlight. Now, It's not, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Portland Open happens to be one of the events that is run solely by the tour, right? This event was started by Jeff Spring. He's no longer the TD, but it's still a tour owned stop. Right, that like the whole thing is run by the tour. And so, I think they're trying to hype up their own event. And Portland, as we've discussed in the past, might be the number one metro area in the entire country, arguably in the entire world when it comes to like disc golf and spectatorship potential and just the whole like the vibe,
proximity to courses.
Yes.
The quality of the courses. When you consider all those factors in, I completely agree.
And we were talking on our sub bonus, our Rapid React show that we did on Monday morning, actually, not Sunday night. That maybe we'll see a Worlds at Portland again in a few years. And like, is it hard to imagine Jeff Spring putting in a bid for Worlds in Portland? Right?
No.
Like, he's running it in Vermont.
Yeah.
I don't see why it couldn't happen in Portland in a couple of years, given the quality of the courses in the area. So, it was interesting. I don't necessarily know that it made me feel like it was the bigger win in the sense of like, oh, wow, Adam Hammes and Kristen Tatar won an Elite Plus. Insane. But I do think that, like, clearly they put the effort in to make this have more points, more money, more media, and I think it delivered on that front.
And I'll be honest, I agree with you that I also am not, holy smokes, like, we got to talk about, if this was a major,
right.
We would have come out at the gate and been like, this Adam Hammes wins a major, right? Like, it's not the reaction here. And so you're right, like but to the players' eyes, except for the major, it's got as many points as it towards the tour championship.
It's
true. It's got, for Kristen, the best payout, tied with her major championship. So that's a nice little perk. I mean, there are some big things for player side.
I will note that Kristen won the tour championship and so won, what was it last year?
Oh,
35, something like that.
30, 35? Yeah.
Just a note. But for a non-tour championship event, yes.
Well, I meant of this year.
Oh, of this year. Okay.
Champions Cup. Yeah, with Champions Cup. Yeah, my bad. I should have cleared up.
Okay, we'll move on now to number 9. And this one is maybe one that you haven't even heard about. I'm going to do my best on the pronunciation here. Tille Tumsalu wins the Estonian Open in the FPO division. Now you're like, okay, why are we talking about this in the top 10 stories of the weekend? Well, let me tell you. It was her first ever European Pro Tour start, and she won the tournament. She won it by a stroke. Her opponent missed a putt inside the circle on 18, and that meant that Tumsalu was able to win. Now, she only was able to get into the tournament via Monday qualifying. She came in with only one previous career win, had only cashed in 3 events ever before in her career, with a total of $379 earned. She's rated 870, and she won the tournament. Pretty incredible story. There's an amazing photo of her in tears after winning the event. Again, got in on Monday qualifying, shot an average of 75 points over her rating to win it. We all can dream of doing something like this.
It's funny to me to think about the contrast between the Estonians who won this weekend. You've got, which actually, coincidentally, that's our number 8 story. So Kristen dominates for the win this weekend at Portland. It's funny to me when we think about Tille over in Estonia winning the Estonian Open. What did you say, 857 rated?
I think she's 870.
870 rated. Sorry, 870 rated. And then you have Kristen, who's, is it 991?
Let me correct. 872.
Okay.
Exactly.
872.
Now,
okay.
to be fair, her rating went up 16 points since the last update. So, like, she's clearly accelerating upwards towards the 900s. No question.
Sure. But more than 100 points behind Kristen. And you know what? It's such a cool story, though. It's such a cool story because, right now, I mean, Kristen obviously dominant FPO player, the FPO player we see quite frequently, and I hope we get to see in the European scene continue to develop more FPO players like Tille, who are accelerating, growing in the sport, becoming professionals, and that talent we get to see on camera, and that they'll come over and play in the United States as well. So definitely an exciting weekend for Tille. Kristen ends up winning by 4 strokes. This is in our number 8 spot. Beats out 25 under, beats out Sayananda, who's at 21. all in all, I mean, Kristen shot 3 rounds of just greatness and then a bit of a struggle in the final round. But when you're up by 6 going into the final round, that's okay. And she talked about in her Instagram how it was one of the more emotional rounds for her, just trying to grind through, watching players around her shooting amazing shots, and she was missing circle one putts. But at the end of the day, Kristen does plenty. And if you look at her stat line from round 4, I mean, she is 67% C1X putting, 0% C2 putting. It was not a pretty round, but again, she was just so dominant in rounds 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3, that it didn't even matter at the end of the day.
I asked this in the Rapid Reacts, and I'll ask it here. Who is going to step up and challenge Kristen? And I don't just mean winning, against her once. I mean, like, stepping up and, like, rising to the level, rising to the challenge, challenging for Player of the Year. It's not even close right now.
Yeah.
I guess you can strain your eyes and see Paige with a chance because she has won multiple events. But beyond that, it's just there's nobody in the ballpark, and Paige has laid an egg too many times. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, and the thing is, like, it's not that there aren't other really good FPO storylines, and we'll get to some of those, but it's suffocating to watch Kristen just killing everybody every week. It's a throwback to the times when Paige Pierce couldn't lose. And, we just haven't seen a player be able to step up on the variety of courses that Kristen has been able to. And it's just, it's clockwork. I mean, Kristen could go out there and shoot a very pedestrian round and still not even come close to losing the tournament.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. So,
Charlie, I'm going to give you one. I'll let you guess real quick. And now, in fairness, Paige has not played every event, right? She doesn't play a couple of most silvers. But I'm going to let you guess. Where do you think Paige is? I don't think she's played any silvers yet. So she's only played elite.
Okay.
Where do you think Paige is in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings right now?
6th.
14.
Really? Wow. I mean, that shows
14.
you how inconsistent she's been.
Right.
Because she has multiple 100-point wins.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's won two
of them.
Elite Series.
Yep.
That's wild. I mean, I think we'll see that. We'll see her rise as, like, some of her weaker performances drop off, assuming that she doesn't keep doing that all season, which is a pretty big assumption to make at this point.
Yeah.
I will note that Kristen and Tumsalu were not the only two Estonians to win this weekend. Mauri Vilman winning in the MPO side of the Estonian Open. We will come back to that tournament in a moment. Let us move on to number 7. And it is Brodie Smith, for the first time in his career, going back-to-back inside the top 15 on tour. So he was 11th at the Portland Open, and he was 15th at last weekend's Cascade Challenge, a silver event. So Josh, Brodie playing some of his better disc golf of late. And, I think it's easy to be like, well, top 15 isn't that much of an achievement. But again, like, Brodie's in that big grouping of mid-tier players who rarely top 10. And here he is with 2 strong showings back-to-back. Yeah, not in the top 10, but for Brodie to be 11th at a very technically challenging course, or pair of courses, I should say, at Glendoveer, I think is a really promising sign for where his game is right now.
I agree with that. And here's the other thing I would add. It's easy to frame the expectations around Brodie as like they're very high, right? When Brodie comes into the sport, he comes from a background in disc sports. He comes as a very accomplished ultimate player. He brings in a lot of social media attention, and then with it, a lot of money from his, getting with Discraft and then establishing foundation, and so the personality side of Brodie, I think, really set up a sense of expectations of his greatness, of how good he should be in disc golf. And to everybody's point, Brody does that too, right? Brody's in the social media talking about how like good he's going to be and how hard he works and everything to that he wants to be a top player. So Brody frames that expectation as well. But let's take out Brody Smith and insert random 35-year-old who was a former Ultimate star coming over to disc golf and now competing and getting inside the top 10 or top 15 2 weeks in a row in disc golf.
I turned 35 in 6 months, Josh.
There you go, Charlie. You're it. We would be talking about how incredible his story is. And so Brody's story suffers from the expectations that his brand builds. And that makes sense, right? Because there's also a sense of like having the money and the flexibility to just play disc golf all the time, with your content creation. And so there are, surrounding and tangential circumstances. But the story itself in terms of actual talent and ability and age and now performance is pretty remarkable. And this story, I think, I don't want it to get lost, that Brody taking back-to-back top 15, even if he never wins an Elite Series event.
Which he's probably not going to. I mean,
probably not going to.
I just don't think he's quite good enough to do it. But, yeah.
This is a remarkable story for given who Brody is.
I agree. I completely agree. And remember, this is somebody who, I don't remember when it was. I saw him at an Ultimate tournament 7 years ago. I don't remember when exactly that was. Doesn't really matter.
Sure.
A few years before the pandemic. And I said, he had basically stopped playing Ultimate at this point. He was playing golf. He was doing his golf thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like, Brody, you should really think about trying disc golf. I feel like you would be really good at disc golf. And he was like, I don't really like disc golf. Not into it. And I was like, all right, fair enough. I didn't, that was that. And then
right, you're not invested in Brody's disc golf career.
And then,
at that point.
like he does the video or whatever with Paul. And then he's blanking out his PDGA number on the thing. That was 2020, right? That was right before the pandemic. And then he goes from literally never playing or liking disc golf in any way to being back-to-back top 15 finisher on the professional tour. I'm sorry. That's an awesome, insane story.
It is.
And it's like, if he ever does win one, it'll probably get like big, like ESPN will write about it. It's because like Brody's still like barely famous,
Yeah.
We're a long way
the
from
B-tier celebrities.
Shots land. And yeah, I mean, like, let's go D tier. Not to disrespect him, but like
sure.
It's not, it's not household name.
Yeah.
But, people, if you go to a random person, you say, who Brody Smith is, you're going to get 1 in 10 who's like, yeah, that's the trick shot guy, right?
Yeah, yep.
And maybe you get 1 in 50 who's like, yeah, that's the disc golf guy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. He's obviously put in the work to get good enough. Again, because Portland Open, it's not like it's just like throw it far and, you can succeed. Where like, okay, like, yeah, Brody can throw it pretty far. No, it's like really technical. There's like lots of tricky shot making and mandos and rollers, and Brody excelled in that setting. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep.
What's next, Josh?
All right, number 6. You know who the best MPO player has been over the past month?
Isaac Robinson.
It has not been Isaac Robinson. Good guess. Aaron Gossage.
Wow.
Aaron Gossage has been, and now to your credit, you started picking Aaron Gossage, and it has done wonders for you.
I'm getting those points.
So yeah, you tip of the cap to you for believing in the goose. But Aaron Gossage, since the OTB Open, that's where we'll do our cutoff. OTB, Aaron Gossage takes 3rd, and I think this was because you picked Aaron at OTB.
I did.
Because he won or took 2nd, I don't remember, at the 303 Open, which is a Colorado tournament, if I'm remembering right.
That's right.
Right?
He was balling in Colorado.
Yeah, he's balling in Colorado, does a really good job at an A tier there. You pick him for OTB, takes third at OTB, seventh at Beaver State, and now second at Portland, losing in a playoff. Incredible performance. I mean, that is a solid month of disc golf. And I look ahead. He's registered. He's got DDO up next, and then Des Moines. I really think he can do well at both of those events.
I mean, he's in great form right now.
And he is.
He's the only player on tour since May 1st with multiple podium finishes.
It's an impressive.
Now, we're obviously cutting it off at May 1st. If you go back to Champions Cup and you include Champions Cup, I think you probably give the nod to Isaac Robinson. But it is fair. Over the last month, I think you have he has earned more Pro Tour points in that time than anybody else.
Yep.
Pretty interesting. But Josh, we're going to have to talk about it a little bit later. He's still not getting the W. So
he's not.
We'll come back to that. But how about that,
okay.
Aaron Gossage?
What's next on our
number 5
storylines
on the list as we get into our top 5? Eagle McMahon has re-injured his shoulder and is withdrew from the Portland Open. And he said over on Instagram, "It pains me to have to make this decision, but I'm withdrawing from the Portland Open. After yesterday's round, I re-injured my shoulder and will be taking time off for a few weeks. I already have an appointment with an orthopedic doctor to get a new evaluation on the state of my shoulder and formulate a new plan going forward. I'm all too familiar with this situation, and it has happened many times before. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks for me to get back into playing form. So I'm hopeful to be back at the Des Moines Challenge, but I also won't be hasty." Josh, how concerned should we be about Eagle and the injury?
Eagle says 2 to 3 weeks. Eagle around, if you remember right, wasn't it around this time that Eagle decided he was going to play a couple events? And then ended up walking off one of the courses partway through the round last year. Yeah, just mid-round.
Yeah,
just walked off and was done.
It was right around this time.
He then plays European Open and then is done for the rest of the season and wins. Yeah, wins the European Open. Sorry, and then is done for the rest of the season. I don't know. I have trouble buying that 2 to 3 weeks is going to be enough for sufficient recovery, and even if it is that he can come back and let's say he comes back to Des Moines and wins it, I am concerned that if this is a reoccurring problem, as he says it is, that it's happened many times, and that in regular intervals throughout his career he's going to have to take time off, what happens when the shoulder gets re-injured at PCS Sula and he doesn't play European Open this year? What happens when this gets re-injured at I don't remember what events right before Worlds, right? But my point, if this is the thing, like if his re-injury is something that is regularly happening to him, he's missing out on Portland, and then DDO isn't going to be all that he misses out on. And so I am concerned. I'm worried that this year is going to turn into something like last year. And even if it doesn't, that this is something that your Eagle and we are going to have to continually watch. And I wonder if he starts to play less events around big tournament time. And, for example, doesn't play PCS Sula or the Preserve, for example, and then just preps for European Open for a couple weeks and rests to make sure that he can play it and be healthy.
Obviously, a lot comes down to like what exactly is the problem with the shoulder.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's not necessarily the same problem that he had before when he had to miss months and months of time. But the fact that this shoulder continuing to get hurt again is not encouraging. There have been rumors that he's going to get surgery in the off season. I wonder if there's a decision at some point to move that up and just say, let's do it. Like, let's fix the problem, which, isn't obviously guaranteed. Surgery is risky. Avoiding surgery is generally the best thing to do if you can. And I just hate to see a player of his caliber and maybe like the guy you look at as the successor to the Macbeth, to the Wysocki as the number one guy, being limited now for 18 months by a recurring injury that doesn't feel like it has an end in sight at the moment, and that's what I'm worried about.
That's a good point.
It's because it's like, when does this end? What's the sure, you come back in 3 weeks and you play and you don't throw any forehands. Well, okay, but like, that's not a solution. That's a Band-Aid. So I just worry that there's not a solution, or if the solution is surgical, like I would, as I said last year, I want him to get right and then come back and play. Don't try to play through it.
Yeah.
But again, maybe this is just a different kind of injury that's not as severe, that's not as concerning, that he will be ready to go again in 3 weeks. But I just, given what we've seen from Eagle in the past, it's hard to feel confident in that outcome.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he gets right and gets back as soon as he can. I mean, regardless of what it is, we want to see Eagle on the course.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We go to number 4. This was a fun one.
The next story.
And I got to give a shout out.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. For the next story. I thought it was about the Eagle thing. All right, so number 4.
Go ahead.
Yes, the shout out. Number 4 in our top storylines gives a shout out to Exiled Ed on our disc golf. We had a generational podium this weekend. Sayananda is in her 20s. Kristen Tatar is in her 30s. Owen Scoggins is in her 40s. And Juliana Korver is in her 50s. And that was your podium for the Portland Open this weekend.
Truly amazing. Kristen Tatar getting the win, Sayananda in second, and then Owen Scoggins and Juliana Korver in third place tied. Awesome catch on the decade by decade results there. I cannot believe that Juliana Korver, like, I guess the question, of course, is like, what is most interesting about this generational podium, right? For me, is that Juliana Korver, 25 years since her prime, is finishing on a podium at a really difficult, long, technical, challenging pair of courses in Oregon. At
one of the Disc Golf Pro Tour's premier events.
Yes. Massive payday. And like, this is not supposed to happen. Players in their 50s are not supposed to be competing at this level. And I mean, obviously she's already a Hall of Famer, but this is just legendary career stuff. To be able to put this feather in the cap alongside being the only woman ever to cash at the USDGC, I mean, it's just awesome. It's just incredible. And I mean, Owen Scoggins has been the most consistent podium finisher in FPO for 2 years.
Yeah. They both. Okay, so Charlie, can you pull real fast? How much money did Juliana Korver make this weekend?
Sure. Juliana Korver made $3,325 this weekend.
Okay. In 1997, so that's Juliana Korver's prime. That year, she played in 26 years ago. She played in a ton of events. It looks like her worst finish was 4th, and she had 5 podium finishes, and then the rest were first places out of 25 events. She made $2,604. So in her podium finish this weekend, she made more than entire seasons back in her prime. That is the disc golf evolution that Juliana Korver has seen and been a part of.
Well, let's remember the year 1999 when Juliana Korver won every single event she played in except one. She won 30 tournaments and finished second in the 32nd tournament, which was just a B tier. And all combined, including winning Worlds and Women's National Championship, all kinds of stuff, she won $8,855. How far we've come.
Man, she's so cool. So without Portland this year, how much did you say she won from Portland?
$3,325.
She's at right around $8,000 this year total,
and
including
that
Portland.
includes some women's Pro 50.
Yeah, some FP50s, of which she's not
US
lost,
Masters.
by the way.
Yeah. Undefeated.
She won U.S.
FP50.
Masters Memorial and the DGMT Old Goats Challenge. So,
well, awesome stuff, and a really
legend
cool
of the game.
Yes, no question. On to number 3. Paul McBeth began his European tour this weekend in Estonia, playing at the Estonian Open. And Josh, he was, well, I'm just going to say it, he was terrible. He played the worst disc golf in a decade for him. That is true. For the first time in more than 10 years, he shot under 1,000 rated for an entire weekend. The last time that happened was in April 2013 at a B tier called the inaugural Little River Open, which, by the way, he won. Josh, what in the world is going on with Paul McBeth?
Let me give you 2 more stats to kind of make this feel a little more unbelievable if it wasn't already there. Paul McBeth going into this weekend had a 56% chance to win according to the UDisc win probability. Feels about right. Feels about right. And the other crazy part, Paul McBeth was not even your top American finisher. Joey Tamale, okay. Who is a camera operator for Jomez Pro, was your top American finisher, and he finished 19th, I believe.
Joey's there to document McBeth's journey in Europe.
25th, excuse me.
McBeth finished 31st, 19 shots back of the leader, to post his worst ever tournament finish outside of the United States. I mean, this is just bizarro world, Josh. And, we got the classic McBeth posts on Instagram.
Right.
Midway through the tournament. Beast mode. That's what it's going to take. He did not go beast mode.
No.
McBeth wrote, "Sometimes you need to pull up your sleeves and put that extra work in. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. I know the results never happen overnight. Thank you so much for showing up, Estonia. I was honored to meet and see so many of you. Until next time." So, Josh, I mean, do you have any theory as to what this is all about and how we're seeing McBeth play like this poorly?
No, I don't. And here's what's odd to me. Well, and maybe, I don't know. This feels like a classic sports trajectory to me. And the one that comes to mind is Tom Brady. So if you watch,
we're gonna make the Tom Brady comparisons here. All right, I'm gonna indulge you. I'm gonna indulge you.
Indulge me, okay. For like the last 5 years of his career for Tom Brady, everyone was like, "Oh, like Tom Brady, like he's washed, right?" And like you could see the declining, you could see the decline, and then he'd show up with like moments of brilliance. And he'd play super well, and then he'd get to the playoffs, and he would look like the Tom Brady of old, and then he'd win a Super Bowl. And then the next year, his overall performance was a little bit worse, but then he'd still show up and then play incredible in the playoffs. He would still do Tom Brady-esque things. And that feels like, for McBeth, it's inexplicable to me, but it's the case of, like, the floor on McBeth is going to keep getting lower. And his ceiling might not move for a while, right? I think that's one of the big things about like decay, like the decline of like these ultra talented superstar athletes, is that the floor is going to keep getting lower for that player. And as that floor gets lower, it's going to keep pulling. I mean, their average performance is going to keep going down as well, but then they're going to be able to manufacture just still pure moments of brilliance at times. I think of LeBron James in a lot of ways this season, right? As he continued, his overall week-to-week performance was not as good as it has been in even last season or the season before that. But then he still comes out in games that he needs to and drops triple-doubles and runs the game like he is 25 again or 20 again, whatever you want to say. That feels like it's going to be the same case for Paul McBeth, that he's going to have more weekends that are going to be just un-Macbeth like, right? That you're not gonna. It's gonna seem like Macbeth is a shell of himself, but he's still gonna have weekends that he's gonna put together that are gonna be great, and that is just a decline of top athletes in their game, both as generational talents who are behind them and young players that are amazing players come up, and the game continues to advance. And it's not just decline, but it's that mix of decline not matching and Macbeth no longer being able to match the pace that the sport is progressing and the people around him are playing. It's odd that it happens in Estonia, where he was the higher rated by like 20 points than the next highest rated player, but it feels like that decline of that superstar is just, we're watching that storyline that we've seen in other sports happening to Macbeth right now. And he's probably still going to win another major. He could win Worlds or the European Open this year, but the floor on Macbeth's game, I think, is going to continue to drop.
Well, and of course, this all comes in the background of him probably having his worst overall start to a touring season as a pro player since he was young and just coming onto the scene. It hasn't been a disaster, but for a player of his caliber, it hasn't been very good either. His best DGPT finish is 6th at the Las Vegas Challenge. He's missed the top 10 multiple times. He was 20th at Champions Cup, wasn't in the mix. For his worst finish of the season to be at the Estonian Open against players who are nowhere near the caliber of players that are competing in the U.S. with, the vast majority of the top Europeans not even playing, right? The Europeans, let alone any other American players besides Joey Tamale.
Right.
It's kind of shocking. Now, look, you can make all the excuses that you want. It's a lull. He's going to come out of it. He's going to be fine.
Travel.
It's grind. It's travel over there. He's working on the foundation stuff. He's got all these other things going on. He's thinking about, this is a tour not about competition for him. It's about, meeting new people, seeing the world, spreading his influence in Europe. And those things are all true. But it is still just stunning to see him play this poor. I mean, literally the worst he's played in 10 years. Something is going on, right? Like there's some sort of mental thing going on. By the way, he was first at the tournament in Circle 2 putting. So that wasn't the problem. That was not the problem. Which is a good sign in some ways, I think, if you're a Macbeth fan. You're like, okay, well, he's not going to play this badly off the tee ever again for the next 10 years. And his Circle 2 putting was on. So, like, that's been a problem for him, and it was good this weekend. So, it's just been weird for Macbeth. Like, there's always been something off the whole season. But for it to be this off is still a surprise.
Here's my question for you, Charlie. All those reasons you gave, the foundation, the travel, the playing in Europe, all those things. Do you think that if Macbeth was... What year was it that Macbeth won everything? Was it 18?
I think it was 15. 14 or 15.
Okay. 14, 15 Macbeth. If he was playing at that level right now, do you think his focus would be on these other things? Or do you think he would just be playing disc golf on the Pro Tour?
I think he's at the stage in his life, not even really necessarily in his career, where it makes sense for him to be thinking about legacy and future and giving back. And, that stuff obviously is going to take a toll on the prep time you have and the practice time you have.
Sure.
And yeah, it was 15 where he was like, he never finished outside the top 3 and like won all of the majors. It was just an incredible season for him.
I just don't know if Macbeth, knowing Macbeth, I don't think if he is playing like that last season, he didn't finish outside the top 3, won 3 majors. Like, I don't think Macbeth says, yeah, I'm going to go over and just take 3 months in Europe.
Maybe so. I mean, I think you have to think about the fact that he's choosing to do this big European tour and miss out on a lot of points in the U.S. and deprioritize top-level competition. Like, why is that happening? I think, cynically you could
right.
say it's because he's like, oh, he can't hang anymore. But that's not true. He just won Worlds last year. I think this is about him
Agreed. But
recognizing that it's a big world out there and that he has the opportunity to go and have an influence in the way that he's already done so much with the foundation. It's pretty amazing what he's been able to do.
Sure.
So, but you know what? Competitively, this is going to piss him off so much. And it should, because he played terrible. And he should be embarrassed for going out there and playing like that in his first European stop. And, come back and talk to me if he plays horrible the whole tour. But for now, I'm going to just look at this as a weird aberration. But it's got to be a little bit of a wake-up call for him to get out there and tune the game up, because this is not good. Yep. Let's move on.
Okay. Number 2. The Aaron Gossage, Adam Hammes playoff gets our number 2 spot. This is funny. I saw some posts on socials. I think there was 2 of them where people started talking about Aaron winning, and then Adam hits the putt and Aaron misses his, and all of a sudden that it's just backwards, and it's funny because I was watching it, and we were at my grandparents' house. We were traveling to Bear Lake and stopped to say hi, and I was watching it, and Adam went OB, and then Corey Ellis went OB, and I closed the app.
You were like, it's a wrap.
I was like, it's a wrap. And then I was like, you know what? I was at Worlds. I was there for James Conrad's shot. How can I say that's a wrap? So I pull my phone back out. I pull up Disc Golf Network, and I set it over to the side, and then we start playing a card game. And then Adam hits the putt, Aaron misses it, and I was so glad that I pulled my phone back out, because I had literally closed the app and put it away. I was like, there's no chance. There's no chance. This is done. And I was like, you know what? For the sake of just in case, I'm not going to be one of those fans who walks out of the stadium and misses the OT winner from your team because I didn't believe in it. So I pulled it back up, and Adam Hammes wins. It was a highly, highly improbable playoff, and that's what I think just makes it such an incredible story. And, Charlie, the other thing? I called it. I get the over-under here.
You did. You did. You called it a playoff. Oh, my gosh. I mean, Hammes goes OB. Philo's like, it's over, bro. And
yeah.
And then Ian's like, I mean, he's got a circle 2 putt from from out of bounds. Maybe he could hit it. And then he does. He buries a 60-footer. He hits some monster putts the whole final round. And then Aaron Gossage just totally no-shows the putt. I mean, he didn't even have a chance. Mm-hmm. He missed it 2 feet low. And obviously this has become a bit of a pattern for Gossage to kind of just lose the putter when it matters most. Not that he's a great putter week in, week out anyway, but he misses there. They go to the playoff hole. His drive is kind of out of position. He has a really long putt to try to force the second playoff hole. Misses that from circle 2. And that's all she wrote. And it's got to be frustrating for Aaron Gossage, who I think was the best player overall this weekend. I think he, if the putt goes in on 16 instead of splashing out dead center, brutal spit out, maybe we're talking about a different story. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to step up and clutch up on a putt, and to get big putted like that is brutal. And huge credit to Adam Hammes for not giving up, for not getting shut down by some bad breaks and things. He hits the putt from the tree in the final round. He's up in the tree, and I felt like he couldn't miss step putts from circle 2. He couldn't miss them. It was absolutely on fire. He wins his 3rd Elite Series event, $12,500 payday. Pretty awesome for Adam Hammes, and another almost for Aaron Gossage.
Yeah, that makes Aaron 0-2 at Elite Series and Majors now in playoffs, and that's not to count the many times that he's been in contention and he's gonna get one. He's gonna get one, but I really think that he either needs to have a 6-stroke lead going into the final round, or he's got to go back and tear that putt down and start from scratch.
3 was not enough against Macbeth at Worlds.
Yep.
That was a frightful putting.
I think three's enough in many cases.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if 8's enough for Macbeth at Worlds sometimes.
Adam Hammis's prize money before Portland so far this year was $13,238, so he nearly doubles up, and he gets his largest ever payday. Second largest was the $8,000 he won for 4th place at the 2021 Pro Tour Championship. Yeah, I mean, Adam Hammis stayed resilient, and for those players who kind of tend to finish in that 10 to 25 range, he has shown the ability to win more than just about anybody else.
Yep.
Like Adam Hammis versus Kyle Klein. Who do you take?
Well, I'd probably take Kyle.
It's been a little bit better on average, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, that's given where they were at this season, right? It you would think Kyle Klein would be the obvious answer, but Adam is hanging around.
Well, let me check the Pro Tour standings right now, because I actually don't know who's ahead. Who do you think's ahead?
I think Kyle's ahead.
Kyle's at 7.
He is.
Adam's at 8. And they're 2 points apart.
Wow. At 8.
I swear I didn't look that up beforehand.
Okay.
I swear I didn't look that up beforehand.
You know what? That was a great comparison. I kind of like, you said it and I was like trying to rationalize it for you because I thought it was a bad comparison. I was like, isn't Kyle Klein like killing Adam Hammis
for what it's worth
right now?
Kyle didn't play Portland and didn't play the last couple of silver events. So
and Adam just got 150 points from Portland.
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe that's a point in Kyle's favor. But anyway, it was closer than I thought it might be.
It's a great comparison.
Let's go to the number one story of the week, and unfortunately, it's a sad story, but it's also a story that deserves a tip of the cap to Mr. Nate Sexton, whose cash streak has come to an end. He did not cash Portland. He did not make the cut. And so after literally years of cashing on tour, it comes to an end. And we'll take a look here at the Instagram post from Nate following this weekend. And he said, "Today I finished the Portland Open in tied for 62nd place, bringing an end to my cash streak at 264 PDGA events. I was 22 years old when I started this streak, and I'm 38 as it finishes. It hurts to lose something that I've worked so hard at for so long. In fact, I shed a few private tears walking down the 18th today. Looking back, this streak is one of my proudest accomplishments as an athlete. It means that for over 15 years, I never finished outside the top 40% in any tournament I played. I was always able to dig deep and never give up, despite injury or illness or a broken putt or terrible weather or a crisis of confidence or anything else this game could throw at me. Tonight, I'm sad, but I'm also proud. Thanks, everybody, for following along." What a story, Josh.
What a story. And it's got to feel like he literally just took a mountain off of his back in pressure and set it on the trophy case. Like, I bet playing Pro Tour events for Nate Sexton has been agony the past couple of months because he's been so close to that cash line a couple of times.
He's had to dig deep to save the streak.
And so, I mean, obviously he would have wanted to continue going, but there must be an enormous freeing sense, especially where Nate Sexton's at in his career, where he can play what he wants, have fun, and what happens, happens, right? Like, there's a good chance he could perform really well at certain events that fit his game, and then other ones, he just doesn't have to worry about it and can just go out and play disc golf and enjoy his commentating career. And, it feels like the end of, and marking the end of an era, but one that I think is going to open so many doors for Nate Sexton moving forward, and in a sense that it's just an amazing accomplishment for him.
So that is your top 10 stories of the weekend. And we probably could have done another 5 if we wanted to. So pretty remarkable stuff. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Upshot.
At Pound, the quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the U.S., employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality U.S. materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. Pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
Welcome back to The Upshot. So while we were in the break, I pulled my phone up just to quickly check and see what was going on. And I saw something that shocked me, Josh. The PGA Tour and LIV have agreed to merge. Let me read this. This is from the Wall Street Journal. The PGA Tour and LIV Golf, the Saudi-backed upstart that sent the industry into chaos when it teed off last year, have agreed to a stunning merger that ends the divide that has dominated the sport for the last year. The parties said that the agreement combines the golf-related business from Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund with the commercial and business rights of the PGA Tour and European Tour into a new, collectively owned, for-profit entity. The parties also said that the merger will end the litigation between the parties, which have been at odds in court and in the court of public opinion since LIV's launch. Wow.
How is this going to look?
I don't think we have any answers to that yet.
This is like, you know what this feels like? You know the Savannah Bananas, the baseball team that does.
Yes.
It's like an announcement that Savannah Bananas are joining the ML, like are merging with the MLB. I'm like the format is different, the rules are different, the tournament structure is different. Like, how does this work? Like, because LIV Golf is exclusively.
They do shotgun starts. They do 3 rounds. There's no cuts.
Rounds,
everybody makes money.
The team-based format with LIV, like.
Josh, I have a pitch.
Okay, what's your pitch?
Let's find some really rich disc golf people. Okay. So, email if you're really rich. Email us
Andrew
at
Zimmer,
upshot@ultimo.com.
if you're listening right now.
Yes. We're gonna start our own tour, disc golf tour. Okay, we're gonna give Drew Gibson, $1 million to come and play in our league and only play our tournaments. Mm-hmm. Everybody makes money.
Yep.
No cuts. Shotgun starts. We're just copycat LIV. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the Pro Tour is going to sue us, and we're going to sue them.
Yeah. I think.
And then we're going to merge. Question mark? Profit.
Profit. You know how this went? The PGA Tour went, man, we would love to get a cut of some of that Saudi money. Like that. I mean, that's what happened in that boardroom.
I mean, of course, this is about the money, right? I mean, we don't know enough details yet to say anything about like how this is actually going to work. But at the end of the day, there's just a lot of money in the sport of golf. Wild stuff. But wow, I mean, I have to say, like initially, without knowing anything else, it's like, wow, LIV like pulled it off. Yeah. They got enough people and enough interest and enough backing to like get the PGA Tour to merge into a collectively owned for-profit entity. What? Maybe this was the goal all along. I don't know. I mean, watching LIV on the CW has been pretty cringe.
That's what I was about to say. Their ratings were awful. Nobody watches golf, which means nobody was watching LIV Golf. It was what I don't know. This is because you would think like you're like, okay, if you're the PGA Tour, just wait, right? Like outlast them. But
maybe
I don't know if you can outlast Saudi oil money.
Maybe Liv went to them and was like, "Hey, we're thinking about maybe we just give you like a couple $100 billion and we merge." I don't know. We'll see.
If you're Tiger Woods, are you livid that you didn't take $1 billion?
Why didn't I take the billion
to get back on the PGA Tour? Like,
it's like less than 24 months.
One year of being like the
I don't know. I feel like
outcast of golf.
The live people, like, their reputations are a little bit hurt, right? Overall,
I mean, they are.
But will everybody forget this now that there's a merger? I mean, like, the PGA Tour demanded that they, like, I don't know. What a crazy thing. It goes to show you that, like, no matter how much you think something is entrenched or is a certain way, that it is possible for things to change very suddenly with the right set of circumstances.
You got golf to change the way they've been doing things for 200 years.
Yeah. Wow. Wild. Okay. On that note, let's review hole 18 from the Portland Open. Josh, what's your thoughts on the giraffe hole, as we've called it?
Yeah, the giraffe hole. All right, so I'm going to start on the MPO side. Now, this is going to be something that I give it an 8. All right, and the reason that's a little bit of a weird pick for me, I live and breathe by scoring separation and looking at course statistics, right? And in the final round, let's hit some stats real fast. So this hole is the 17th most difficult hole. It's quite easy. In round 3, this is before the cut, 57% had birdie or better, 28% had par, and only 15% shot a bogey or worse. Now, here's the thing that's interesting to me. And then when you move over to day 4, it's even 67, 24, and 9. So even worse. Now, here's what I think is fascinating about this hole. 2 things. Number 1, the way that you play your initial tee shot gives you a variety of options based on both the level of aggression that you want to play for as well as the style that you're most comfortable with. We saw forehands, we saw backhands. It's all about playing how far left to the OB as well as with the water, both of which I think are fascinating decision-making tools. It's got the trees that can cause problems if you get too aggressive and don't execute properly. See Corey Ellis, for example, there in the final round as being that case in point. But it also is eagleable. And so it's too hard to be a par 4. But the point is that there is the pipe dream of going 2 under par on this hole. And that makes it interesting because see playoff and hole 18 this weekend. Right? It was Adam Hammonds going for the eagle that caused him to go out of bounds, but then still had enough teeth that Aaron Gossage messes up with just being 15 feet shorter than he should have been on the upshot and then missing a long circle 1 putt. Right? Like that created drama. Adam Hammonds is still able to save birdie, which yes, you could argue that if you go out of bounds you should not have any birdie chance, but has to hit a miraculous circle 2 putt to do it. This hole has created drama the past 2 years for close races and made the round incredibly intriguing for both of the 2 years that it has been played. And when I'm asking for a hole 18, you're right. I can look at the scoring separation and but at the end of the day, when I look at lead card and it's close, is this a hole that I'm excited to see that can make or break tournaments? Even if it's not tied, right? If it's just close. And the answer to that question has been yes, 2 years in a row. And so Portland Open gets an 8 for me.
You make a great case. You're almost talking me into wanting to give it a slightly higher score. I'm giving it a 7 for MPO. I do think the fact that, more than 2/3 of the field is getting a birdie, and there's very, very, very few people getting a bogey, means that there's not quite enough separation there. But I have to admit that when because if you're coming into the hole and you're like, all right, I just need to play this hole normally, you're probably going to get a birdie. Right? And so a lot of people are just playing it. It's like, I can get a 4 on this hole every time. But the thing is, there is the potential to try to get a 3. And you could blow up and take a 6. So there's just enough intrigue there, especially when you really have to press. If you have to press, then it makes it more interesting. So I can't argue with the results of the hole coming down the stretch in the final round, but I do think that having it be a little bit harder to get a birdie on would probably be better.
I think you're probably right.
I give it a 7 because I think we got lucky for it to be so interesting in some ways.
That's what I was about to say. I actually, my dream score in my head was a 7.5. Like, I think that's what it needs to be. But I wonder how many other courses like would benefit from close finishes. Right. Portland has the advantage. Now, it has shined in that case, and I can think of holes that would not shine.
I mean, the fact that you can go for eagle is a big plus for the hole, right? Yeah. It's not a impossible eagle. So I think that's a key element of having the opportunity to really push and have some risk reward there. How about for FPO? I think I'm going to give it a 6. It's got similar characteristics, but it's just a little bit too hard, I think. And so it's just not quite as interesting, and it's like everybody's getting par. You can get a birdie. Hardly anybody took a bogey. I think in the final round after the cut, only one player took a bogey, Jessica Weiss. I don't know. Like, it's actually got pretty decent scoring separation. I feel like I'm a little biased because we didn't have a close race, and so it just doesn't feel quite as interesting.
Here's what I think the FPO hole needs. I also give it a 6, by the way. I think the FPO hole needs to shorten it and create more danger around the green. For example, maybe make it an island, right? Like cut the line. If you look at the draft head, if you were to like separate and at that final tree kind of create an out of bounds section, or not in the final, but the second to last tree, so kind of like at where the neck connects to the head.
Sure.
If you turn that section OB but shorten the hole, then you force players to make the decision whether to lay up short or to go for it, or do you bail out left behind the other big tree.
Sure.
Right? And that creates some decision making that offers the reward for going for it, but a little bit higher risk to put some bogeys in there. I think making that slight tweak could jump this and elevate it up to an 8 for me as well. But you're right, it is just a touch too soft, and maybe if it's closer we start to see a little more intrigue, but I just given the lack of opportunity to go for eagle, right, that's what redeems the MPO hole. I think the MPO hole is a 6 as well if there's no chance at eagle. If that, right, it could be lower. So you need to give FPO a chance to really be rewarded for pressing aggressive.
Super quick, it's not official. Yeah. Unofficial Glendoveer West hole 18 review.
I was in and out. I've got to try and remember. Let's see.
It's the one with the double Mandos and kind of like dog leg left. Par 5 long. Very few birdies in FPO. In MPO, it was pretty good scoring separation, to be honest.
MPO, I liked it. I would probably I'll give it a.
Drew Gibson got an eagle, by the way.
Right, and the eagle chance is there too, which I love.
But to be fair, he threw it in from 350 feet.
Okay, never mind. I'll give it probably like a 7, 6 to 7.
I would be curious to see this hole played as like the finishing hole of the tournament.
I'm gonna go 6. 6 is my final answer. It's a little. I'm gonna go 6.
I think I go 7 MPO and I go 5 FPO. I think it's just too hard for FPO.
I agree with the 5 FPO. In fact, I think the FPO, even only 35% are getting par. Like, I don't know. 5. Yeah, maybe a 5, maybe a 4.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our whole 18 reviews. And that is going to do it for this week's show. Really quickly, on the pick side of things, Josh picked Kristen Tatar. Oh, he's so smart. And he gets the 5 points there. And also gets a point for Owen Scoggins. I had Kristen and Owen on my podium, so I get 2 points there. On the MPO side, Josh draws a blank with Gannon, Nicholas, and Isaac. I had Eagle at my one spot. Ouch. But I did have Aaron Gossage on my podium, so I pick up another point for the Goose. I take 3. Josh takes 6 points this week. Again, you can
find me about Kristen all you want.
I'll be back.
Keep doing it.
I'll be back with you picking Kristen next time. I will remind you that you can check out all of our picks at discgolf.ultirail.com/upshot-picks. And if you're a subscriber, you can make your own picks and challenge us right alongside the entire season. That's going to do it for this edition of the Upshot. We'll be back with you on Thursday to preview the Zootown Open. Josh, are you hyped?
I'm hyped. It's a great course. It's a fun property, and I'm going to be there. So I'm excited to talk with Zootown.
All right, we'll be back with you then. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.